If you've been following my manual Dodge Demon build, then you won't be at all surprised with what I'm about to say. It's broken. Last video, we installed a new intercooler system, 3 new fuel pumps, we upped the boost, we hit it with the juice. We installed an entirely new ECU system, put it on the dyno, and made 1,005 horsepower. It turns out though, 1,000 horsepower, it's enough to shatter something in your drivetrain real fast. Literally. It didn't make it 3 feet off the line. So here's the plan. We figure out what we broke, we fix it, we take it back to the track this weekend. What we know at this point, the car won't move under its own power. Not in forward gears, not in reverse, it's limp and useless. There's basically 3 things that could have happened here. A drive shaft or an axle, that's not that big of a deal. A diff, all right, not great. A transmission, that's the expensive one. We don't want that. Let's get the forklift. All right, so at the track, the first clue we had that something was really wrong was when the starting line worker looked under the car and then gave me one of these. He saw this. The exhaust came off. I thought what that meant was the drive shaft smoked itself. It came down, hit the exhaust, and knocked it off. But the drive shaft, at least appearance-wise, it's in one piece. So being that nothing physically hit it and knocked it off, I'm thinking this just came off because of the 2-step. I hadn't tightened these things down since we put the car together originally. They were probably due for it. Another thing that doesn't really line up with the whole drive shaft theory is when we were pushing it, we didn't hear it doing anything. Usually if you break a drive shaft, it's going to be smacking the chassis, it's going to be bouncing around. We didn't have any of that. But these are a 2-piece drive shaft. It could have broke where it goes through the carrier bearing, and then theoretically it would be held in place. Everything just feels really worn out and sloppy if I'm being honest, but the drive shaft spins the diff and it spins the transmission at the same time. So the link between the trans and diff are good, but unfortunately, only one wheel spinning. Passenger wheel spins fine when you do this. Nothing. Okay, so problems back here on the driver rear side of the car, and unfortunately, it is not an axle. The axle's spinning fine. I was hoping we'd just see a torn boot, something hanging out of the axle.
Can't believe Demons came with open diff.
Stop it, just stop it.
It wasn't an option?
No.
So what's your expectation so far?
I don't know. That's a good question. Yeah, I'm just dropping tools on the floor now. I don't know if this thing failed in a glorious way or we're going to pull this drain plug out and we're going to have a failure with none of the special effects. I am hoping there's some metal here. That'd be cool. That just looks clean, unfortunately. We can't even get the show. We can't even get some cool video. We can't have teeth out of the pinion gear coming out. Guys, back me up on this. If you're gonna break something, you gotta replace it, you gotta fix it anyway. Might as well be fun. Might as well be something to hang on the wall, right?
No.
So our first clue to what's going on here, this axle, it popped out. I didn't have to hammer it, I didn't touch it. I just dropped the diff down and it yanked out. That's not the case on the passenger side. That might indicate that the half shaft itself is broken apart inside the diff, or it could just be a coincidence and the diff is still broken. Oh, it's the axle itself. Check that out. That's broken off way down in there. And I guess that kind of explains why we couldn't hear anything beating around. The axle is still in the diff, it just wasn't connected to itself. Just for reference, this is what a Hellcat axle is supposed to look like, and this is what our driver's side axle looks like. There is not a spline left on it. It's sheared clean. The problem we have here, though, is again, that this is broken off so far down in there, we can't really use any of the traditional methods of removal. I was hoping that we could stick an extension through, but it's completely blocked off on the inside. There's no access to get something through it to put any force on that axle. Luckily, all that stuff, that's gonna be a problem for later because we got ourselves a new differential. Oh shit, I just wiped off the ratio. The whole thing just came off. I was cleaning this so I could show you guys the ratio of the diff. The whole sticker just gone now. The differential we were running in the car, it's a 370 ratio out of a manual Hellcat. This one, it's a 309 out of a Scat Pack. The thought here is that with the 370, we'd just be ripping through the gears. We'd spend more time shifting than we would be making power in gear. The 309 though, I hope solves that. Funny enough, this was actually already in the plans before we broke the axle. We were talking about it while we were on the dyno. This just accelerated the whole process. Now, one area that I couldn't be more thankful that we've parted out so many Mopars, axles. We have a ton of spares like those, drive shafts. So if we break one, we can pretty much just grab another one off the shelf and replace it. Now, as nice as it is, at some point we're gonna have to do a true drivetrain upgrade to the car. But that is a project for another day. Right now, we got a race to make. Guys, I gotta take a second here and give the Dodge engineers credit on this one. This might be the easiest differential slash axle repair I've ever done. Typically, when you drop a diff down, you have to pull some suspension off, you have to make room for an axle to pull out, but on this one, they made it so you can just drop the exhaust, drop the diff, and do anything you need to. Now that we got that wrapped up, there is one more thing I wanna take care of in the engine bay, and it wasn't until we were on the dyno that I realized this was a problem. Even with our fancy new icebox packed full of ice, our IATs were climbing to 130, 140 degrees by the end of a fourth gear pull. The reason I think that's happening is this expansion tank. When we first did our install, I left it. I wasn't sure if we were gonna need it or not, but now I'm pretty positive that it's downright hurting us. When we turn the ignition on, you can see that a lot of the effort that our intercooler pump's putting in is just getting wasted swirling fluid around in the expansion tank. If the way I'm thinking about this is correct, when our intercooler pump flows fluid from the back of the car up here into our supercharger, it's losing, I don't know, half its efficiency because so much is getting diverted off here and coming into this reservoir with no real way to get directed right back into this hose. I think that if we axe this reservoir and give ourselves a clear path to the intercooler, we'll increase flow over the intercooler bricks and therefore lower IATs. So what we did here is welded our aluminum line shut. We ditched our stock top line that had that fitting the tee off into our reservoir and replaced it with another bottom line that we had laying around the shop. And just like that, we ditched our coolant reservoir. Coincidentally here, we ran out of the pump E85, so we have to put in the good stuff, the ethanol 1R. It's $10 a gallon, and this car definitely doesn't need it, but what could it hurt, I guess? Now, gassed up and ready to go rip on it for the first time since the ratio change, and I'm genuinely curious if we're gonna be able to tell a difference from a daily driving type standpoint. I already ran the numbers, and I know tomorrow when we take it roll racing, we're definitely gonna be able to tell a difference, but I'm not sure how it's gonna feel on the street. Let's go find out. Straight off the jump, I can tell you this feels much longer.
That's what you said.
All right, let's try second. That feels good.
You break something? Yes! It braked! Ah!
You wash the car, which is something that you never do. Buy tickets to go to the racetrack, prep everything, and
do you want to keep going? Because I don't really have anything to say. I'm sure you guys can all relate. You got that like little voice in your head that says, hey, no, it'd be really cool right now. You do a burnout. It doesn't work that well in this car, though. So,
How is possible that this car is on the 1,000 horsepower club, but it doesn't do a
can't do
burnout?
anything. Everything you guys just watched us do in this video fixing the car is now rendered completely useless. I hope you guys have enjoyed it, though. Now we have to do it all again, but we're gonna do it right this time. I guess that's assuming it's the axle, which at this point I don't really have any reason to believe it's not. We'll find out in like 2 minutes.
Oh.
That don't sound good.
I think you broke the drive shaft.
Oh yeah.
It didn't sound like this before. This is painful. I don't like this.
that sounds like money. Ching, ching,
No, it's money going the wrong direction.
Exactly,
okay?
yeah.
That shouldn't be there. It seems, if I'm correct here, that our problem is probably drive shaft related, being that this is supposed to be in the drive shaft and not on the ground.
You really lost your bearings now, man.
Stop busting his balls.
Oh, another one. Before we go all the way up, what's your guess?
It's clearly a drive shaft. I mean, there's no doubt about that based on what's falling out of the car on the ground, right?
Could be a differential too. Huh?
That would not come out of a differential.
What about you?
Drive shaft.
100%?
100%.
What about you, Eric?
Drive shaft, yeah.
Oh, oh, shit. Oh, man.
Oh. Okay.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Look at that. Oh, that is... This is impressive. At least, unlike last time, we got something to hang on the wall of shame. This is... I mean, I do feel somewhat validated that we didn't just break the same exact thing. Like, it wasn't all that work for nothing. Yeah, this time we get to fix something else. All along, I said this was temporary. We were just putting a stock axle in it to get it back on the track, and, well, this is what you get when you do things like that. This time, we're taking it back apart, and we're gonna do it right. Like I said, we are done playing around. If we have a failure now, it's gonna be something fun, a real failure like a transmission or a differential. We got ourselves a whole kit from Drive Shaft Shop. These are known as their Stage 5 2,000 horsepower axles. We will find out in short order if that's just a marketing term. And this is their 4-inch aluminum drive shaft, which I could have sworn I heard somebody say 4 inches isn't enough, but it looks pretty big to me. We also, just to give us a little added peace of mind, got a BMR rear differential lockdown kit as well as a rear subframe lockdown kit. The idea behind this is it's going to prevent everything in the back of the car from moving around and therefore make things just a little easier on our new driveline components. I quite honestly think I'm more excited to see the damage than I am to get this car back on the road. Oh my God, look at that. That's a mess. That's a mess and a half. If you thought this chassis was bad before, well, it just got a little worse. The heat shielding above this part of the drive shaft, that's all torn up. There is, I mean, that is quite impressive. It does look kind of cool. I mean, we had to replace this at some point anyway. Why not do it in a glorious fashion, right?
Yeah, you need a drive shaft loop or a scatter shield or a...
That's the floor.
Oh, right.
That is one crooked shaft. Wow. Check her out. We did a number on this thing. That's beautiful. This is, I don't know where it's going, but some wall of shame. One of the crazy parts about this whole deal is where that rear section of the drive shaft bowed in half, it started hitting here. This little heat shielding doesn't look like much, but it turns out that's the guard to the fuel tank. This is a fiberglass shield that goes in front of the plastic gas tank, and that's beat through. Yeah, I think a drive shaft loop is in order for this thing real fast. I don't know if there's much we can do with this side now. Maybe save it for parts if we ever break one on another car. Maybe we salvage the carrier bearing. I don't know.
Did you say if we break one?
If.
You mean when, right?
When is more likely, yes,
Yeah.
correct. Yeah, I was genuinely not prepared for this level of damage. One thing I am always prepared for though, thanks to the sponsor of today's video, a flat tire. I don't go anywhere without carrying the Fanttik X9 Ultra tire inflator. It's the fastest 18-volt portable tire inflator on the market, and it just won the 2024 Red Dot Award. Both these demon wheels are as flat gets. We're gonna run a little experiment here and see just how fast the X9 Ultra is. 35 pounds, 256 for the X9 Ultra, other one's still going. So from dead flat to 35 pounds in under 3 minutes, which is wildly impressive considering this has the volume more that of a truck tire than it does of a sports car. And guys, it's not just a tire inflator, it's a 92 watt-hour power station with 65 watt USB-C fast charging and a flashlight. Fanttik even makes a ton more cool stuff like the Slim V8 Apex portable car vacuum. To grab a unit for yourself, go to the link in the description, use code LEEX9 Ultra and apply a coupon to save 72 bucks on the Fanttik X9 Ultra portable tire inflator for their big pre-Prime Day sale. Again, that's code LEEX9 Ultra and apply a coupon to save 72 bucks. And as always, thanks a ton to Fanttik for the support on today's video. This all feels far too familiar. At least this time we can sell the axles and recoup some of the money we paid for the drive shaft shop ones. At least on the differential side of things, this is going to be a really easy job. Literally all there is to it is sliding that collar over that differential mount and this collar over that one. Actually, hold up, put that one the wrong way. There we go. This next part is technically still to stabilize the differential, but we can't do it until we drop the rear subframe down just a little bit. We have these 4 metal inserts, and what they're gonna do is stick in between these holes in the rubber bushing in the subframe. While we could probably get a few of these metal inserts in, for whatever reason, Dodge made it so you cannot pull out these differential bolts without dropping the subframe, and we have to add this washer to the whole deal. And to do that, we definitely need the subframe down.
So, to be completely fair, this isn't really Dodge's fault. This is a subframe technology borrowed from Mercedes-Benz.
So you mean to tell me the one dumb thing about this car? It's German.
Yes.
Who would have thought, right?
Yeah.
German engineering.
The differential itself is made by ZF, which is from a GL class Mercedes SUV. They're all all-wheel drive.
Okay.
So it's splitting the load between the front and the rear, and you're putting 1,000 horsepower through only the rear?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that we got this down, the bolts out, we can actually slide all these in. Well, slide might be the wrong term. Now where the subframe mounts to the chassis, at least on the backside, we have these metal inserts. One goes on the top, one goes on the bottom. It's really simple. On the front side of the subframe, things are a little more difficult. We still have the ring that goes around the top. That's easy. But on the bottom, we need to install this piece. And to do that, we got to take whatever this is, they call it a limiter in the BMR instructions, and then we have to shave some of the bushing itself off, because otherwise this isn't going to seat.
There it goes.
This annoying little guy, it was way harder than either of us thought it was going to be to get off. The subframe's in place, now comes the fun part. And as we lay these axles next to each other, honestly, the drive shaft shop ones, they don't look as beefy as the stock ones are. Well, at least one of the stock ones. Of course, it's not all about size. The metal these are made out of, significantly more expensive and stronger. If you knock on these, I feel soft. I can pretty much bat it around with my knuckle. Oh yeah, that's some hard metal there. Now, as far as the install, it's identical to how we removed the stock ones. The only tricky part is we have to pull these ABS rings off the stock axle and put them on here without breaking them. That's the key part.
Normally these tone rings are very difficult to get off without shattering.
I have faith. I haven't even seen one of these ABS rings before. I didn't know it was an ABS ring until you said something. This is what I'm used to seeing. Now, we can install these guys, which you can definitely tell are much heavier when you're holding them above your head.
After this struggle, do you think that you're finally going to make a pass on the track?
I will, and then I'll leave the differential on the track, then we'll upgrade that, and then I'll leave the trans on the track, and then we'll upgrade that, and then like 2 months from now, I'll make a full pass.
When's the car catch on fire again?
The next time we break a drive shaft, apparently.
Torque to yield.
That means you torque it until it yields, right?
It just yielded.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Just say it for now. I see it on your face. Just say it, all right?
You really know how to handle a shaft, huh?
Hey, the heavy ones.
We might as well just get it out of the way now. There we are. I know this isn't at all the point of installing parts like this, but I gotta say, it looks pretty tough. This big one-piece aluminum shaft that's filling up our transmission tunnel, a lot cooler than that two-piece shaft that's now literally in 2 pieces. I swear this was easier last time, I swear.
There it goes.
I felt like it went in.
Yep. Good.
Now, one thing based on the stickers that came on the drive shaft that I was supposed to look out for here is an exhaust clearance issue. I think, though, that there was resonators, mufflers, something here that was a lot larger than the pipe that somebody replaced it with at some point. I guess that's supposed to hit the drive shaft. Luckily, in our case, we don't have to worry about it. All right, you know what to do. Test time.
With the red key?
Red key. Only red key. Well, it works. A drive shaft. Yeah, that shaft, it's doing what it's supposed to be. The axles. Yeah, I don't know if axling's a term, but we're gonna just go with it. They're axling. Everything looks just like it should under here. You know what this means, right?
What? I don't know if it's me, but I do have high expectations today.
Let's just temper those expectations right now.
Why?
Right? Look, there's never a bad day to be at the racetrack. We're at Capitol Raceway here at Crofton, Maryland. Love it, but if there was such thing as a bad day to be at the racetrack, it will probably feel a lot like today. It is, I don't know, 200 degrees out here, 900% humidity. This is what I imagine it would feel like if they built a racetrack in a swamp, underwater, in some piece of land that exists 500 miles south of Florida. That sound about accurate for the way it feels today?
Yes.
Disgusting.
You trying to increase the boost now?
Well, not quite. I'm trying to increase the reliability. See if I can like go in here in the Holly and change a setting that says don't break anything, all right? I know this has been a short video so far, but all this breakage and stuff, it's taken place over like a month or more. There's been a lot of downtime on this car. That's why it really means a lot to just go make a pass at this point. If it breaks again, I'll cut somebody a sweet deal on a Demon.
Clean title.
Wow.
Never.
Wow. All right, nice and smooth. It's spun like crazy first and second, but we finally made a full pass in the thing. It didn't break. Now we can do things, you know, the rudimentary drag strip type things like check the tire pressure, do a burnout. I didn't want to do anything until we made it a quarter mile down the track for the first time. I had 35 pounds of air pressure in the tires. It was daily driving. Did I just say daily driving? Daily driven specifications. We're gonna go for like 15 pounds. I think once I actually do a burnout, it'll probably heat up to like 18. Now keep in mind, these tires are from 2017, so there's nothing we're gonna do to make them hook perfectly. I just had to have those Demon logo tires way back when I built this car.
You are 1 second faster.
That's still not that fast.
Yeah.
We gotta get home like 11.3, and I'm in here talking like, oh, I didn't feel that bad. It wasn't too bad. Woo. You know, the heat. By the time we get to the end of the track, the ITs are almost at 200 degrees based on the data log. It's pulling so much timing that when you hit third gear, when you hit fourth gear, it just feels dog slow. Feels good out of the hole, somewhat. It worked on the dyno. Hopefully it works a little bit here too. Though it wasn't nearly this hot when we were on the dyno.
This is definitely anti-boost weather.
I know this car is massively heavy, but making the power it made, there's no good reason it shouldn't be trapping somewhere in the 140s. We can talk about the fact that it's spinning and everything as to why it's only running in the 11s, but trap speed's a good indicator. If spinning or not, it should be trapping much higher. It means it's down on power, pulling timing. Hopefully, this is gonna fix that. We got 30 pounds of ice in it. If we can't get it to stay cool this time, it's just not in the cars today. But we're gonna make it happen, right, Fernando?
Yes.
It's gonna happen. Dude, it just spins. It spins.
What's your gas?
I don't know. It didn't feel that great. What did it do?
1152.
What was the trap? What was the speed?
131.
We got it iced down a good bit. At the line, the temperatures were like 105. It wasn't that bad. But the more power we have off the line because of the lower temps, the more it just spins. I'm leaving not off two-step, which is what I did when I broke this thing originally. I did take a little more air out of the tires. They're 15 pounds even after the burnout. I just don't think there's any getting around the fact that they're so old and dry. Normally, with a radial like this, when you do a burnout, when you run at the track, they are sticky, they're soft. These collect some rocks, but they're not sticky. I think it's pretty clear at this point we're not setting the world on fire today. I mean, I feel like I'm being set on fire out here, but there is one more thing I think we really need to try. There's one thing we haven't done with this car yet.
Put in new tires. Nitrous. What?
A little more.
Alright, it's less sketchy than what I thought.
It's not sketchy, it spins, but it spins straight.
Yes!
Coming and running 11-second passes in a Dodge Demon, you know, it's not great. But I'm gonna spin this. I genuinely do believe there's some positives to take away from here. We came out, we ran really slow. I mean really slow, but the car's in one piece. This thing, a week ago, couldn't do a burnout on unprepped surface. Now it's here doing burnout after launch, albeit not that sticky of a launch, on a prepped surface, and it's still in one piece.
Think about how it was when you bought it, and now we actually can enjoy it on the track.
That's a very good point. Just like the whole restoration of this car was little by little, I guess this journey at the drag strip is gonna be kind of the same. First stop on that journey, it's gotta be tires. It just has to be. Until then though, I guess we'll stop calling it the world's first manual demon, call it the world's slowest demon.
Adios.
It made more power, it's still a piece of crap, and it can't even make it to the 60 foot.
All of that is 100% accurate. I can't argue any of that.
You're struggling.
Oh, man.
Tech tip of the day, don't drop the axle nut, all right?